Yellow Productions presents the Cherry Blossoms in Washington, D.C.
Konnichiwa. My name is Chris Rainey, like a rainy day, bringing you the 2009 Cherry Blossom Festival from Washington, D.C. Let's go check out the blossoms, shall we? As you can see behind me, the cherry blossoms are blooming. This is the Tidal Basin by the Thomas Jefferson Memorial back in that direction. Over 100 years ago, Japan gifted approximately 3,000 cherry blossom trees to Washington, D.C. They only bloom for a short time, about 2 weeks. Peak bloom this year is forecast to be April 1st through 4th, so in about 3 or 4 days they should be at peak bloom. And peak bloom is when 80% of the blossoms are open, and that only lasts for about 3 or 4 days. So a very short window for quite a treat, the cherry blossoms.
The average lifespan of a cherry blossom tree in Japan is approximately 100 years, but at the Tidal Basin here in Washington, D.C., they only live for about 40 or 50 years. The park rangers suspect the reason why the trees in D.C. don't live as long is just because of the millions of tourists that come to visit them that step on the roots, climb on the trees, and pick the blossoms. So you'll see a friendly beaver when you walk around that'll tell you, please do not pick the blossoms. Each of the trees is marked with a special marker so that the park rangers can track the health of every single tree and also its age. Here you can see some newly planted cherry trees with one of the older cherry trees in the middle. One of the biggest dangers to the young cherry trees is in fact not people, but beavers. Apparently cherry blossom trees are tasty food for beavers.
Thanks to the gift of the initial cherry blossom trees from Japan, Washington, D.C. actually has cherry blossom trees all over. But the most popular place for people to come to see the cherry blossoms is at the Tidal Basin by the Thomas Jefferson Memorial. There's this wonderful sidewalk here where you see the water and the cherry trees drape over the sidewalk. Some of the trees are so low you have to watch your head when you go under. Maybe I should have brought my hard hat. I'll take it next year.
As I mentioned earlier, the cherry blossoms were still not at peak bloom. You can see some of the blossoms have flowered while others are still buds. Well, I had to come back when the cherry blossoms were in full bloom, so let's check that out about a week later.
April 3rd, peak bloom for the cherry blossoms. Unfortunately, the wind has started to pick up, which blows the cherry blossoms away, but you can still see some of the trees that are they get blown away completely.
The cherry blossoms really are quite delicate, so when the wind picks up, it blows them all over the place. But luckily, the blossoms near the Tidal Basin held up in pretty good condition. So here are the Washington, D.C. 2009 cherry blossoms in all of their full glory, peak bloom. Quite an amazing sight. So if you're out in the D.C. area at the end of March or early April one year, go check out the Washington, D.C. Cherry Blossom Festival.